Welcome to Shelbrook Speaks Out, where we explore ideas, thoughts, and perspectives purely from our own point of view. Please note that the discussions in this podcast are based on personal opinions and should not be taken as professional advice or factual information. We encourage you to think critically, do your own research, and form your own conclusions. Thanks for tuning in, and let's dive into today's topic. There's an old saying that a man with one watch always knows what time it is, but a man with two is never quite sure. Ever since I've started this podcasting venture, I've been carrying two watches. I've been running Shelbrook Uncensored for the raw late night truth and Shelbrook Speaks Out for the structured, family-centered guidance. I thought I was doing you a favor by trying to keep them separate. I thought I was keeping the messy parts of my brain away from the clean parts of your life. But life doesn't work in compartments. And if I'm being truthful with you, which is the only way that I really want to be, carrying two versions of this show has been like trying to drive two trucks at the same time. You end up not giving enough gas to either one, and you're constantly worried about which lane you're supposed to be in. Well, today that stops. I'm pulling over, I'm getting into one seat, and I'm taking the filters off the engine, and we're going to see what this thing can really do when I'm not holding back for the sake of a label. If you've been listening to Shelbrook Uncensored, well, welcome to your new home. If you've been a Shelbrook Speaks Out regular, get ready for a version of the show that is deeper, grittier, and more honest than anything we've done before. We're consolidating the fire. We are simplifying the mission, and we are building a community of people who can't be knocked off course. Welcome to the transition. Welcome to the first day of the rest of this show. You know, there's a specific kind of exhaustion that comes with trying to be two different versions of yourself. It's like trying to maintain two different houses on opposite sides of town. You're constantly checking the locks on one while you're trying to paint the walls on the other, and eventually you realize you aren't living fully in either one of them. For a long time, I've had Shelbrook Uncensored and Shelbrook Speaks Out. One was the raw, unfiltered, says what needs to be said space, and the other was a more polished, family-friendly, edited version of my brain. But here's the truth. And if you've been listening to me for any length of time, you know truth is the only currency that I try to deal in. My brain doesn't have a partition. I don't wake up and decide to be Uncensored Ben at 10 o'clock in the morning, and then Speaks Out Ben at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm a father. I'm a business owner. I'm a man who's walked through the fire of mental health struggles and come out the other side with some scars and a lot of perspective. And whether I'm at my kitchen table or in this studio, I'm the same man. So today's a bit of a milestone. We're tearing down the fence, we're moving the furniture, and we're officially bringing everything under one roof here under Shelbrook Speaks Out. Welcome to the show. I'm Ben Shelbrook, and today we're talking about what it means to be truly integrated, why I'm sunsetting the uncensored feed, and what the Unshakable, that you, can expect from the show moving forward. So let's talk about the why for a second. If you're coming from the uncensored feed, first of all, welcome home. I'm glad you're here. And you're probably wondering if the fire is going to go away. You're wondering if, because now we're on the Shelbrook Speaks Out feed, I'm going to start pulling punches or sugarcoating the reality of the world we live in. And your short answer, no. The long answer is I realized I've been trying to do 2 episodes on some of the same topics. One for clean ears and the other for the unfiltered ones. And it's a disservice to the message. It dilutes the impact. When I'm trying to sit here and talk about the struggles of modern fatherhood, or the absolute chaos of the current business climate, or the deep, dark corners of depression, I need to be able to speak about the language that fits that emotion. Now, I'm not changing my brain space. I'm just stopping the act of filtering it goes through into two different sieves. This move is about focus. It's about making sure that when you see a new episode notification from Shelbrook Speaks Out, you know you're getting 100% of my focus, 100% of my research, and 100% of my honesty. All right, now let's peel back the curtain a little bit more on what this actually looks like. When I say same brain, new rules, I'm talking about a shift in how we define maturity. For years, the podcasting world has tried to put creators into two boxes. Box A is the clean box. Box B is the explicit box. I've spent a lot of time toggling between those two, and frankly, I'm tired of the labels. Here's the reality. Life isn't clean. Business is not clean. Raising kids in whatever year you're listening to this in, currently 2026, that's definitely not clean. So here's the new rule for Shelbrook Speaks Out. The language will follow the emotion, not a corporate checklist. But, and this is a big but, we have to distinguish between vulgar language and vulgar topics. This is a hill that I'm willing to die on. I've seen shows that are clean as a whistle, no swearing, but the topics they push are absolute poison. They're pushing greed or division. To me, that's the true vulgarity. I'd much rather my teenager hear a man say the F word while he's describing the struggle of keeping his business afloat to provide for his family than hearing a clean speaker talk about how to manipulate people for a quick buck. To the Unshakable listening right now, I'm trusting you. I'm trusting that you're here for the substance. This isn't going to turn into a low-rent shock jock show. We're still here to have high production value, but the edit is now going to be about the clarity, not the censorship. If a word comes out on this show that makes you jump, don't just shut it off. Talk about it. If you're listening with your kid, tell your kid, hey, Ben's fired up about this because he cares. He's using that word to show how serious this is. We don't use that word at the dinner table, but I want you to listen to why he's frustrated. That's how you build the next generation of the Unshakable. And I want to pivot for a second. I'm talking directly to the younger ears right now. No fluff, just me and you. If you're a minor and you've been listening to the uncensored stuff, or you're following this transition, you've probably noticed the tone is shifting. And I'm going to tell you exactly what I tell my own kids. Grow up. And I don't mean that as an insult. I mean that as an invitation. The childish way to handle this new direction is to hide it. To put your earbuds in and keep this part of your life a secret. But if you want to be unshakable, you have to start practicing how to be a grown-up right now. And the hallmark of being a grown-up is communication, especially when it's uncomfortable. You know what your parents will and won't allow. Value that care. But if you feel that this show is actually helping you understand yourself and the world better, then handle it in the grown way. Go to your mom and or your dad, find a quiet moment and say, hey, I found this podcast I really like. It's called Shelbrook Speaks Out. And to be honest, I don't think you would approve of it at first because the host, Ben, he uses some language and gets into some tough topics. But the reason I listen is because it helps me understand X, Y, Z, whatever your reason is. Would you take the time to listen to an episode for yourself? I want you to listen to why I want to keep listening, and I'd really like to have your blessing to do so. If they say no, you honor that. But more often than not, when a parent sees their child reaching for maturity, they try to meet them halfway. Now, I want to circle back to the parents. The ones feeling that gatekeeper anxiety. I'm in the trenches with you. I've got a home full of kids. But you can't manage what you don't acknowledge. If we try to keep our kids in a bubble, we aren't protecting them. We're just making them vulnerable for when they eventually leave the house and realize the world doesn't have a volume knob. My philosophy is contextual parenting. We don't just tell our kids, hey, that's bad. We explain why it's happening, why it's bad. Don't apologize for me. Use my intensity as a talking point. I'm making this move to combine these shows because I believe you are looking for tools, not toys. You need a platform that starts conversations you might not know how to start on your own. I'm not going to censor myself for the sake of other people's children. If I start editing my thoughts to please the most sensitive person in the audience, I'll lose the very thing that makes this show have any value, and that's my honesty. Now, I want to be clear about the timeline for this change. I've been sitting on several episodes that are already backlogged. I have topics and deep dives that are currently unreleased. And to be honest with you, life happened around me over the past few months. I never stopped working and I never stopped recording, but I held off on letting those episodes go live while I was navigating some things behind the scenes. So I have a queue. You're going to see those backlogged episodes roll out first, and then this new direction, the unified Shelbrook Speaks Out, will officially take full effect once that last queued episode goes live. Why am I doing it this way? Because I wanted to try to be more reliable. By getting this backlog out and moving into the single feed strategy, I can finally deliver on a consistent basis. No more disappearing acts because I'm overwhelmed by multiple hats that I can be wearing at any given time. You deserve a schedule that you can try to set your watch to, and this is my attempt on getting us there. The Shelbrook Uncensored feed is not going to go away. It's going to stay right where it is as an archive. But the new life is happening right here. I'll leave you with this. Integrity isn't about being perfect. It's about integration. It's about being the same person in the dark that you are in the light. I'm choosing to be one man in one place with one voice. If you want to help steer this ship, join the Unshakable. Your support is what helps keep the voice independent. So stay honest, stay vulnerable, and above all, stay unshakable. I'm Ben Shelbrook, and I'll talk to you next time. Well, that's it for today's episode of Shelbrook Speaks Out. A big thanks to Intertwine for providing the music. Be sure to go over and check them out on Spotify. If you've enjoyed the show, head over to benshelbrook.com where you can grab some merch and find other ways to support the podcast. You can also show your support directly by clicking the support button on our website or through Buy Me a Coffee. Links to everything are in the episode description. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you on the next time. This is Ben Shelbrook signing off. Have a great day.